What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the stream. In today's stream, we're going to be playing a little bit of Fernbus Sim. Now, there's going to be a lot of conversation around the console versions, and there's going to be a lot of information based on what the game actually has to offer. In regards to its gameplay and what to generally expect, to be honest. But thank you all for joining anyway. We've got Ken in here, we've got Alexander in here. Welcome, guys. I hope you're both doing well. But without further ado, let's just get stuck straight in, shall we? So we've already got our route set out, nicely done. Passengers are all on board. Of course, it's raining. Why wouldn't it be? But yeah, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Now, we'll get back in. We'll get into the meat and bones of this game, the topic of conversation, really. What the game has to really offer, and what the game, what to really expect when the game finally comes to consoles. I know that it's a thing that's been heavily requested for quite some time, and it's really nice to see, that as console players we're getting what we've been asking for a very long time. I know that there's quite a few people which are excited about it coming to consoles, and that's absolutely fantastic. There are a few elements to it which obviously we have to keep in mind, regarding an awful lot of things, but we will get into that. We will get into that. Yes, Ken, this is the PC version. As you can see, it looks very nice in the wet. Very nice. But I mean, all in all, okay, so I love the idea that it's coming to console. I think that, like I said before, I think it's great, especially for console players, having a little bit more of an established sort of simulation bus sim anyway come to consoles. It's really nice to see. Now, we all know the reputation of TML, Aerosoft, and there are a lot of things which do generally concern me. I mean, we know that their reputation with just everything in general, when it comes to the communication, the lack of updates with previous titles, working on new titles when current titles aren't quite finished. It's definitely not good for their reputation, and it's definitely not good for the longevity of the games which they produce. Now, as you can see straight out of the gate, the game in itself, it has a lot going for it. Visually, it looks nice. Whether that transitions to the console side of things is another story. Now, as we all know, coming from Tourist Bus on PC and then playing it on console versions, it was definitely stripped back in a way which not a lot of people really expected. It was almost as if it was stripped back to the bare bones, nitty gritty, just to be able to get the game to function. And even by doing so, it's caused some catastrophic technical issues, which is preventing people from actually enjoying the game for what it is. No, Ken, it doesn't have a manual transmission, unfortunately, and yes, the buses are automatic. But as you guys know, with the current state of the way that, you know, we've got Tourist Bus, now I know that's not a fair comparison because they are two different games, but they are produced and published by the same people. Yeah, and we have to really take that into consideration. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the game is absolutely dreadful and you shouldn't buy it, you know. But what I am saying is, if you're ever if you ever played any of the, you know, TML's games, Aerosoft games, we all know what they're like. And we all know the lack of communication and the lack of updates is definitely a serious issue which shrouds and resides within, you know, the simming community, especially when it comes to, you know, the console side of things in general. For me, you know, I've got some very, very big questions. A lot of those questions tend to reside around the price, and also just the general performance of the game, what it's going to actually be like for the console player. Now, my hopes and expectations aren't high, and the reason for that is just simply down to the way that they've handled and treated their previous titles. Now, a lot of people are saying, you know, maybe third time lucky, you know, it may be all well and good after that point, but I think the harsh reality of it is that from what you're seeing here, I don't think it's going to translate very well to the console side of things. You know, there's definitely going to be, just like the AI, look, whoa. As you can see, the AI don't play very nice, even on the PC side of things. So don't expect too much when it comes to the console. As we all know, the AI is definitely a big issue which consists in all of the games which they've done simulation wise. Yeah, so you can adjust your field of view, so to speak. You can adjust the seat positioning and everything like that. Very similar to what you can do with Tourist Bus. You know, which is pretty cool that, you know, the accessibility is there. But that's what I'm saying. Will these settings be ported over to the console side of it as well? You know, like, it would be really, really nice to have some steering wheel support settings, you know, being able to change your force feedback and stuff. You can do it on the PC version, but like I'm saying, the topic of conversation is the console side of things, and as to whether that actually happens, we will have to wait and see. Yes, Ken, it has force feedback. But it's very bizarre, the force feedback on this. It seems even when you, like, tune your wheel, there's always like a little bit of delay. It is negligible, don't get me wrong, but you can definitely sense it when you've come over from playing, you know, very similar titles. The one thing which I'm interested in the most is the price point and how much they're going to charge the console player for it. Now, I know that with the console version you get all the DLCs included, so that's definitely a nice little touch, you know. It's definitely not not fair on the PC side of things, but you know, you can put that to one side, considering that, you know, consoles consoles don't really have much going for it in terms of simulation.
Mein Nagel ist angerissen.
Well, let's pop into the fuel station real quick. We'll grab some fuel, because I don't know when the last time it was that I filled up. Oh, look at that. Okay. Does it have FM? What do you mean by FM? So, like, if you've ever played Tourist Bus, this is basically the exact same as Tourist Bus, except you're not on an island. You know, you're in Germany. You know, Berlin. It does have a radio. Yeah, it does have a radio. Yeah, like I was saying, this is very similar. You could say that this was an older brother to Tourist Bus. Which can be a good or a bad thing, whichever way you look at it, really. But as you can see, a lot of it, you know, even down to the NPCs, the passengers, they're all copied and pasted. You know, you'll see a lot of those reused assets in Tourist Bus as well. So a lot of things that you see, it will look awfully familiar.
Moin, Sie wollen bestimmt mein Ticket sehen. Auf geht's.
Servus. Fahren Sie in meine Richtung. Ciao. Tag. Das Ticket. Cool.
Servus.
I'm not really
Ich
going to
hoffe,
pay
ich bin hier
much attention to
Könnten Sie
this.
das Ticket stornieren?
Hallo.
I just
Hm,
want to
das ist
get
gar
them
nicht die
all on the
richtige Linie.
bus.
Fahren Sie sehr freundlich.
Salü. Fahren Sie in meine Richtung. Auf geht's.
I'm not really worried about the
Grüezi, hier ist mein Ticket.
problems.
Vielen Dank.
Okay, cool. Ah, okay, there you go, Alexander. So the radio, he says the radio will only work for PC. So that's a bit of a shame, if that is the case, of course. Yeah, unfortunately, BG, it is only in Germany, yeah. Yeah, that's right, Ken. No, it really wouldn't like that. Now they have said that there will be more mods coming to this, so you will. Oh, this is obviously for the PC side of it, but you'll be able to add different parts of Berlin, you know, Germany to your map. So whether that actually materializes, this is what we've got to remember here. These guys, Aerosoft, TML, they're very good at saying they're going to do something, but they're what they say never actually materializes. So we really have to take these things into consideration. Oh, okay. Okay, you meant for Tourist Bus, I see. But that's exactly what I mean. There are going to be a lot of features within this game for the PC side of it that just will not translate over to the console, as to what features will be apparent, nobody really knows, do we? We can kind of get a general gist of what's going to happen, but let's face it, it's not going to be the way that we expect it to be. The fact that they still haven't fixed tourist bus on the road, you know, all those types of games, they still haven't fixed those, updated them, brought them up to speed, you know. And I think as us console players, we would be pretty stupid if we was to expect any different, you know. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be a good game to play, because Tourist Bus is a good game to play on console, don't get me wrong. But it's not just about that, it's about the communication, the updates, what it's actually going to look like as a final product. That's what I'm more interested in it, you know. Now don't get me wrong, the map on this is huge. I think I can show it to you actually. So there you are. You kind of get a bit more of an understanding of what you're really dealing with here. You know, it's not a small map, but I'm sure eventually more areas will be unlocked and you'll be able to go other places and do other things. But it's very different in comparison to Tourist Bus. I would class this as more of like a Euro truck of bus simming in a way. Just down to the map size and obviously all that sort of stuff. So all this stuff that you see here, so you will get like locked areas, like locked towns, should I say, cities, whatever. Like here, for example, undiscovered bus stop. So in order to discover those, you have to create a route which goes through those locations. Now when you do that, you can plot your own routes. You can literally turn, you know, you could have a 5-minute route, or you could have an hour-long route. You could literally link all the bus stops up together if you want to, and make a massive trip out of it, if that's what you really wanted to do. Yeah, absolutely, Alexander. I mean, there's no harm in trying it. No harm in trying it. I just feel that, more or less to the point, is this going to be another, you know, half-baked console port, you know, that doesn't work properly, has massive amounts of issues, doesn't get updated regularly, and the communication from the developer and from Aerosoft, you know, what's going to go on with that, you know, and we can't be blind to that. You know, is this just going to be another game which falls into the same category of something that really did have a lot of potential, but they never did anything with it? And realistically, I think we all know the answer to that. As much as I want this game to do very well for the consoles, I honestly just don't think that it's there. I don't think that it's going to happen. You know, obviously, we won't know for sure until the game comes out. There's been no, you know, confirmed release date or anything like that. No more information regarding as to when we could expect it to come to consoles. You know, they have said that some features of the Unreal Engine 5 will be used. Whether that actually materializes is another story. You know, these guys are very, very good at hyping the simmer up, you know, to wanting this thing. The reputation of this game, it's like I said, it's been requested for a considerable amount of time now to come to console, you know, and now that they're doing it, are they going to tarnish that reputation, tarnish that credibility even further just to try and get some extra cash? Now, Alexander, you say that every game has their problems. Yes. And I feel that that's just an easy way to look at it. You know, we have to try and be unbiased here. You know, when it comes down to it, they aren't very good at what they do in terms of porting it over to consoles. Proof's in the pudding. We can see that from the previous titles which they've released to console. You know, it's not going to be an entire stream, don't get me wrong, of just completely bashing the game. I'm just highlighting a few key issues, and bearing in mind this is just my opinion on these issues, which I'm sure a lot of people share. You know, we have to consider this. You know, I don't want anyone to think that what I say is complete gospel and that, you know, I absolutely hate the game, rah rah rah, because if I did I wouldn't be playing it, you know, I wouldn't be covering it. But this is what I mean, the potential's there. They've tried to do this in the past with several different other titles, and yet they all follow a very similar pattern. They've all got very similar, you know, the same issues. They've all got technical bugs which reside, and yeah, fair enough, all games have their issues. But most developers, most publishers listen to the audience and put game-breaking issues right, not leaving their consumer base in the dark for just over a year, a few months, whatever. You know, they generally get those things sorted out pretty quickly. You know, and you don't see this from TML. You don't see it from Aerosoft. I'm sure that the game, when it comes to the consoles, that it'll do okay. I don't doubt that, and I don't doubt that it won't be a fairly relaxing game to play. If it plays anything like what Tourist Bus does on console, you know, then happy days. But I'm more concerned of the technical side of it, regarding its updates. I mean, realistically, we're probably looking at a $24.99 price tag. You know, that's just, I think that's just pretty common practice for TML and Aerosoft. You know, it's a pretty generic price for them. But when it actually comes down to it, this is what we want to know. You know, this is the stuff that we want to know. Is it going to be a half-baked console port that, you know, there's a lot more questions than answers, and that's just not for Fernbus, that's for Tourist Bus and for On the Road. We all know the life cycle of those two games. You know, On the Road is basically dead in the water. It has been for as long as I can remember. Tourist Bus is slowly getting there. You know, and now they announce Fernbus for console. You can't help but sort of notice these patterns. You know, when are we going to get an update for Tourist Bus? Well, nobody knows because they don't tell us anything. And I feel that Fernbus is going to be a very similar story, and there's going to be a few upset people. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a controversial topic, this one, because I know that there are some people that absolutely swear by these companies, and I know that there are people that absolutely love what these companies do, and you know, that's brilliant, that's great. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. You know, this is my genuine, honest verdict, my opinion on the subject, because we've all endured and experienced what these companies are like. And there's been no improvement from title to title. I think the only real significant thing which I can think of is they've used a better engine this time round. It's like, only because I've got milk in the fridge, it doesn't mean to say I've got a cow in the garden. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things which don't sit quite right with me. But like I was saying previously, you know, this is tourist bus, but on a bigger map. You know, you're not on an island. So if you do like tourist bus, and you do like enjoy, you know, the style of busing which these games have to offer, because I'm not gonna lie, they are pretty fun. Yeah, pretty fun. And the only thing that really, like we say, that lets it down is just no visual sort of like updates, communication, or any form of contact from Aerosoft or TML to kind of just go, hey go guys, this is how we're getting on. You know, it wouldn't take 2 minutes, would it? Let's be honest. Trust me, there's nobody more that wants to see these games succeed than me. You know, I've always had a particular passion for these TML and Aerosoft games, you know, and I've always wanted them to do well. And I think most of my general concerns come from being passionate about other games that have been involved with them, and then them not doing particularly the way that I wanted them to be. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, well that's it, BG, isn't it? That's it. You know, it's like you play Tourist Bus on the PC, and I've had no issues whatsoever. Zero. No game save losses, nothing like that. You go onto console and it's just problems left, right and centre, and you know, and the more you play it, the worse they get. Well, can we expect Fernbus to be any different? I mean, so far, the moment that they said Fernbus for console, it was a giant red flag for me. It really was. Because, you know, you got to think of Tourist Bus and the way that Tourist Bus has been left. They've taken on too many projects and they just haven't got enough resources to improve the things which they say they're going to improve. Yeah, it's basically plug in and play, yeah. I mean, like I say, for the PC side of things, you get options to customize the force feedback within game. The console version of Tourist Bus you can't, which doesn't make much sense, you know, and that's what bothers me even more. It's like there's going to be a few things, you know, that are on the PC side of things, which there always will be, but they're so basic. You know, you would understand why they don't do what they do, you know.
Grüezi, hier ist mein Ticket. Dankeschön. Grüezi, mein Ticket. Vielen Dank.
But so far, I mean, like, you look at the graphics. You look at the graphics for the PC. Yeah, the rain looks really cool. But as we all know, for the console side of things, when it came to Tourist Bus, is we got like no rain effect on the windows. Do you know what I mean? Is this going to be a very similar trait which we're going to get across all of the games which they produce? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of questions. You know, I mean, what would you guys like to see? What would you guys like to see? You know, in Fernbus for consoles. Do you think that it's going to do well? You know, I mean, I'm sure that there's a certain level of expectation. by all means, if you have any questions about this game in general, please fire away. Please fire away, and I'll try and answer them as honestly as I possibly can. You know, the one thing that I do prefer about Fernbus in comparison to Tourist Bus is that there's no like select a new order, mess your game up. You know, it's no hiring employees, mess your game up. Do you know what I mean? There's, when you first load the game up, you get to pick your bus. You can customize your bus from the main menu, and you can create your own route. There is a free play option, and there's a career option too, so it's very, very simple. Like I say, it's very, very similar. How's it going, James? Welcome to the stream, mate. To be honest with you, I wouldn't like to say. They haven't actually officially announced a date for it. Bearing in mind that they've got the bus on the go and they've got other projects on the go at the same time, so I don't know. I feel as if the release of Fernbus for consoles is a bit of an overcast, you know, like an overshadow to kind of take people's attention away from current issues which reside with their previous titles. But I would like to hope that it would come out this year. End of this year, perhaps, maybe beginning of next. It just depends on how long they really want to take with something like that. I mean, if it meant waiting until next year for it, you know, I'd be happy as long as I knew that they were actually like porting it over the correct way, you know, and that it came over in a stable condition, you know, stable state. But as you can see, even on the PC side of it, the AI, they're still not okay. You know, that AI issue is going to be extremely apparent for the console side of it. No different as what it was when, you know, Tourist Bus came to console. Very similar issues. I think that it just AI, just traffic in general, for these developers, they're not very good with it. I mean, for instance, you imagine if, say for instance, you pay £25 for Fernbus for consoles, if that is the price, it probably will be, but, and then you're, say, what, two and a half, 3 weeks into the game, and then all of a sudden you get an error code and you lose your save data. What happens then? Does it get fixed in a timely manner? Well, history would tell us that probably not. It's very easy to focus on the negative side of it, but that's only down to their current attitude to the way that they follow up on these games. They need to learn that it's not just a simple case of, okay, because people want it, let's port it over, slap a £25 price tag on it, and that's it. Because that's the way that it feels. Xbox for Tourist Bus still haven't even got the luggage update yet, and they're already on about bringing Fernbus to consoles. It just feels like another cash grab. Those that want to buy it, fair enough, but I'm not. I'm definitely not going to buy it for the console. Just simply down to the evidence, which is really, really clear. You know, we give these developers so much leeway, so much slack, that we tend to forget that they're very good at what they do, and that's just making you believe that, you know, these games are really, really good, and then when you get your hands on it, you know, it's not. Now, on the more positive note for Fernbus, the driving is really, really nice. As you can see graphically, the rain, the water on the floor, you know, the puddles collecting, you know, it's really nice. The scenery is nice and green. You know, the buses handle really nicely too. No different than tourist bus, you know. There are a few decent elements which this game provides. You know, and if you can accept the fact that maybe when the console side of things, you know, when the game comes to consoles and it's not up to scratch, if you can accept the fact that that is a very high possibility, then I think that you're going to enjoy the game for what it is. And I think that's all it comes down to. You know, if people are gonna sit there and nitpick and, you know, this and that and whatnot, you know, the common one is that this game is fairly new. It's fairly new to console. Well, how hard can it be? It's a PC port to console. It's not like it's a brand new game entirely. I mean, they have established these games. They've been out for a little while now. Do you know what I mean? So there should be no reason as to why we don't get the full package. That's it, Poorhouse. That is it, yeah. It's not like I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. Like I love the fact that consoles are getting a little bit more love when it comes to simulation games, but I feel that TML and Aerosoft have noticed the particular market for busing, for trucking and all that sort of stuff is pretty lackluster on console. So they've picked a very sort of like niche market because they're the only ones that are really doing it. So they can almost get away with charging what they charge because nobody else is doing it. Do you know what I mean? There's no competition for them, you know, because there's no one actively taking advantage of that market in the right way. We just get half-baked games in the hope that they work properly. But the last 2-3 games which we've all played haven't been. So for the Fernbus for console, can we expect any different? I mean, I think we would be kind of stupid to kind of give them that little bit extra. Do you know what I mean? Because that's all it is. That's all they want is your money. Once you bought it digitally, that's it. With the refund policies on both Xbox and PlayStation, you got more chance of winning the lottery. Do you know what I mean? I understand that people really want this game to come to console. Like, I get it. I honestly do. And like I say, this is just my opinion on the subject. But at least correct the problems which exist in the games that you already have before repeating the process again. They're just adding the workload to themselves. But the thing is, they're not actually working on it, are they? They're just taking your money and running. But in a general consensus, excuse me, in a general consensus, if you really want to know what this game is like, the reality of the fact is that you've already played it. Now, I'm not too sure whether many people will understand what I'm saying there, but you've already played it. The only real difference is the map. In fact, Tourist Bus has more to do in it than this game. And that's really saying an awful lot, considering this game came out before Tourist Bus. There are a lot of things which they could do to improve this game on the PC and the console side of it. But like I say, the history just repeats itself. We're back asking the age-old question as to when, you know, and we don't know. That's it, Poor House. That's it. But for what it is, for what Fernbus is and what it has to offer, I don't think that it's generally a bad game. You know, it's nice to jump in, use your wheel, drive around, it looks nice, you know, and you can just go about your general busing business, you know, like, you know, if you're into your roleplay side of it, you know, it does a very good job of emulating being a bus driver. You know, I wish they would have done something a bit different though with like the ticket system, you know, like getting out of your bus, you know, and checking the tickets and then loading them up. You know, there could be a few things that could be changed to make it a little bit more immersive. Maybe even like a little ticket system, you know, like what the bus simulator does, you know. But even the bus has only recently just got that. So, you know, unfortunately, I think when it comes down to it, the glue, the foundation of what these games are really about, you know, they do a very good job with what you want them to do. It's more so the general attitude and the communication which really affects and lets these things down. And unfortunately, I have a very, very strong, you know, if I was a betting man, I'd bet that, you know, Fernbus for console is not going to be any different. As to whether you agree with that, you know, it's entirely up to you at the end of the day. But I look at things in a little bit more of like a black and white sort of fashion. You know, the evidence that we have, the information that we have is clear as day. It is clear as day. It's right in front of us. You know, we all like to have a moan and a complain about issues, and you know, when it does release the consoles, you give it a week, you know, there'll be a Facebook group made and you'll have hundreds of people all complaining about the same issue, and whilst we all argue and complain amongst ourselves, they're sat enjoying that money working on something else. Yeah, Poor House. So the whole concept, like I said, it's no different than Tourist Bus if you've ever played that. You can create your own routes. So I'll show you a map. I'll show you the map. So I like to describe this as almost like an ETS of busing. You know what I mean? The map is pretty big. It's Germany. You know, nothing that you haven't seen before if you've played any of their other titles, you know, on the road, blah, blah, blah. You know, same places. But there is a career mode and there is a free play mode. So if you want to, you know, just drive around freely with no passengers, you can. But there's a career mode. You basically create your own routes. So in order to go to bus stops, you'll see that they're locked. You have to, in order to unlock them, you have to drive through them. So you create routes, and obviously the more routes you unlock, the further you can go up. you know, and if you really wanted to, like I said previously, you can link as many bus stops as you possibly want. You could link them all if you really wanted to, and make an absolute day out of it if that's what you really, you know, you're really interested in. There's no office like tourist bus, nothing like that. When you first load into the game, you can basically select the route that you've created. You can make multiple, they save, and you can just click on the one that you want and go about your business. So that element of things is actually really nice. You know, I'm not usually a big fan of creating your route. Just like from Bus Sim 21, you know, linking places together, I didn't really like that. But yeah, it is a very good, it is a very nice game in that terms of things, you know. But the overall concept is basically to bus. You do get like a leaderboard with other people that play the game, and it basically just tells you your position in the leaderboard. You know, so it's all based on your XP. You know, so you could be the #1 busser in the world if you wanted to be. You know, there's the option for that. Yeah, so the create a route part, Poorhouse, is very simple. It's very simple. You just click on the bus stop. That's it. And just go from there. There's no like requirements of when you want to drive, or you've got to drive at a particular time of night or time of day or anything like that. No, it's not like that. It's, you can actually pick the weather system at the beginning, so you can choose to have it dynamic, you can choose to have it raining, thunderstorm, you know, you can choose all that. So it is nice that you know, you get that option. I prefer driving in the rain because it just looks nicer in the rain. No, unfortunately not, BG. Unfortunately not. Now they have said that over the course, you know, for mods, they will eventually open them up a little bit more to the modding community, so we can add more parts to
Ich kriege hier noch eine Thrombose.
more parts to Berlin, you know, like the Berlin Wall, I think they were talking about, and stuff like that. But nothing outside of you know, Berlin, Germany, that kind of thing. You know, it's very much solely based here. But keep this in mind, what you're seeing here may not translate to the console, so we have to keep that all in mind. I mean, you know, if we go to, you know, if we go to like the phone, it's very simple. You know, we can have route planner, all that kind of stuff. If you go into your settings, you can play around with the graphics, and it, like I said, tourist bus in a nutshell, really. You can change all of this event frequency. So there are events within the game, you know, like crashes and all that sort of stuff. So that is pretty cool. But it is customizable. Enable telemetry interface is a beta, but you can do your camera sensitivity, your vehicle sensitivity. Now, this is the area which I'm interested in the most, especially when it comes to the console side of things. Now, I'll be very intrigued to see whether the force feedback settings are on the console, because Tourist Bus, they weren't, you know. So it you know, you got to really look at it. Yeah, I agree with you, Poorhouse. I like it when games do that itself too. I'd much prefer just to drive it rather than have to set my route out, you know. But yeah, Bus Sim 18, the beginning wasn't so bad. I don't like. I mean, it's fair to say I don't like Bus Sim 21. it's okay, but there's just, I think that was a missed opportunity in a nutshell. But that's another topic, really. But yeah, I mean, we will see, won't we? We will see. I mean, the question is for you guys from me. You buy the game on console, Fernbus on console, and later down the line, the cracks start to appear. The technical bugs, save game data progression being lost, no updates or communication from the publisher or the developer. Couple months go by, nothing, and then you find out that they're actually making another game. Where do you stand with that? Do you give them more of an opportunity and a bit of slack and consider buying their next title? Or do you accept the fact that, you know, this is actually a problem and people really need to stop buying their games because they're just basically using them as cash cows to run us dry? You know, it'd be very nice to hear your comments, your thoughts, even if you're watching the video back. You know, just leave it down in the comment section below. Like I said, any questions at all, you know. I'm pretty sure as well, I heard them speaking about the multiplayer element as well. I think they said they were working on multiplayer for this. I could be completely wrong. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, this is the crazy thing. I think the hype, they leave such big gaps between their projects just to build the hype up. To bring Fernbus to consoles is definitely a big step. It is a massive step, but it also generates hype because they haven't give us any details as to when we can expect this. You know, they just left us with the thought. Now, you remember when you were a kid and, you know, you get a phone for Christmas, you know, or you know that you're getting a phone for Christmas. Few days, you know, a week prior, you're watching videos on it, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that. Then a couple days away from Christmas, the hype is just so surreal, you know, you may even, you know, be tempted to have a sneaky peek. Do you know what I mean? And then when you get the phone, you have all the excitement on the day, and then you give it a week and the novelty just wears off completely. It just wears off completely. And that is what I try to detach myself from when it comes to these games. As much as I want them to succeed and as much as I want them to be on the consoles, I'm also being realistic at the same point that when everyone does get their hands on it, and the bugs and technical issues which reside within the game, because there are going to be quite a few, and find out that they're not going to be fixed, and there's going to be a massive delay before anybody can actually appreciate the game for what it is. You know, history just repeats itself, doesn't it? You know, a lot of people will disagree with what I'm saying, and, you know, I'm completely fine with that. You know, I'm not here to score brownie points. I'm just here to give my general verdict on how I feel about the subject. It's a very controversial topic, isn't it? Discussing these games. And I've been sent and left some really sort of like nasty messages regarding the things which I say about these games, and I always say it. You know, it's my truth of it. I can't deny it. You know, as whether anybody watches me for influence on what games to buy and what games, you know. I mean, like, come on, guys. You know, we've been here before. Most people have been here more than once. But I think that Fernbus in general is going to be a good game, but you know, in small doses. Like, you find some of these routes, they are exceedingly long, but you have the option to do and change a lot of things. So there are a lot of accessibility with what you do and what you want to do within the game. Yeah, BG, like I say, if you wanna kind of see where tourist bus will go, you take On the Road, for example, because it hasn't received an update, a stability, you know, maintenance update, stability update in a very long time. Those, like I say, those cracks, they just fracture, you know, and the game just gets progressively worse, you know. I mean, I'm in contact with quite a few people that still play On the Road, and the amount of crash reports which that game has had recently is just ridiculous. You know, and tourist bus, like the same, it'll end up in the same category. The only reason how I know this is because, so when it generally comes to updates for these games, you would expect the PC side of things, as per usual, to get an update before anyone else. That's generally the way that it goes for whatever game you play. So there's the people expecting updates for Tourist Bus and On the Road, but they haven't actually come to the PC yet. So if they haven't come to the PC yet, the chances of them being close coming to consoles, you've got to think of how far away that must be. I mean, realistically, yeah, we'll take a look. So something that I've noticed with this game is you tend to notice a little bit of fuzziness. It does go away eventually, but you can kind of see it as like a fuzz. This is how the bus looks. As you can see, you'll probably recognise some familiar faces. Rain animation's not too bad. Okay. Dash is okay, but if you see it's whoa, you see it's quite basic when you think about it. You recognise him. That little phone animation, still the same. So it's not going to be anything revolutionary. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say that you won't enjoy playing the game, but for a content side of things, Tourist Bus actually offers a little bit more than what Fernbus does. It's crazy. But okay, if I take it from a different perspective, if I look at it from a perspective of those that don't have the luxury of playing on PC and those that only have consoles, and they look at it as a new simulation game coming to console. Well, not so much a new simulation game, but a PC port of a game which has been highly requested for a very long time. I would understand why people would be, you
So
know,
ein Rowdy.
hyped up and excited for it. I get it completely. But I'm just showing you really what the game's like what it looks like, what it's about. And if you didn't like it where on Tourist Bus, you know, the passengers didn't actually wait at the bus stop, well, look at this. But anyway, we'll get them on board. I didn't realise that was open. Not closed, I mean. But you'll see, there's a lot of reused stuff that you'll be
Fahren Sie in
familiar
meine
with.
Richtung? Ach, Moment mal.
Well, that's a good
Ciao.
Das ist ja
start.
gar nicht meine
Das Ticket.
Richtung.
Bitteschön. Sehr freundlich.
Hallo, mein Ticket? Danke. Grüezi, hier ist mein Ticket. Dankeschön.
Hi, das Ticket. Ciao. Salut. War cool.
Grüezi, bitte, danke sehr.
Hallo, ich hoffe, ich bin hier richtig. Sehr freundlich.
But there definitely needs to be a little bit more variety, you know, when it comes to the
Hi,
NPCs
ich hoffe, ich bin cool.
and the way that the game
Servus.
performs.
Das Ticket. Sehr freundlich. Salut. Sie wollen bestimmt mein... Auf geht's.
We'll check you in. Yeah, BG, it is. It definitely is. It's exactly the same. But you gotta understand, you know, this game did come out before Tourist Bus, so like I say, a lot of the similar assets, you know, have been reused. Which is crazy, isn't it, when you think about it? You know, my expectations when I first played Tourist Bus on the PS5, you know, my expectations were quite high because of the new engine that was used. Now we're getting Fernbus with a new engine that's being used. I mean, I can see the pattern. I'm not sure if everybody else can, but it seems to be a general sort of like market employ. Like, we've all seen the interview by now, you know, with Fabian and, you know, the TML guy. And even that bloke, he didn't even really seem sure of what he wanted to say. Fabian had to basically chuck words in his mouth to start a conversation, you know. And if you can't communicate with your consumers on games that you've published, and then go and have an interview and talk about the game which you're republishing but on a different platform, you know, what's going on? I mean, he didn't really seem too excited about it. Yeah, the NPCs, they definitely need a lot of work, don't they? But it's the way it is. I mean, at the end of the day, to immerse yourself, the bus needs to look good. The dynamic weather needs to look good. The passengers need to look good. Yeah, so do the buses. You want to feel like you're here. You know, that's the meat and bones of it all, isn't it? You know, you want to feel like you're here. Like, for instance, here now, I cannot see the traffic light, so I have to park here to be able to see it, which is crazy. There's no other lights on the other side. They're stupidly high, you know. And if I do go through a red light, there's no penalty for it. So in theory, if you was stuck by a time schedule, which thankfully this game doesn't have, you know, you could literally just run through all the red lights and, you know, you won't get anything, you won't get penalised for it, which is crazy. Look, I'll show you. There we go. On the other side of the road. And that really, like, for me, it takes away the immersion, you know. Like, even on the road had, you know, like traffic violations, you know what I mean? Like running red lights. But look, that's red. And nothing. So take that as you will. Take that as you will. Obviously, these games require a certain level of imagination. You know, if you want to, like I say, if you want to role play and enjoy it, you know, then that's fair enough. But there are a few elements which are missing in the PC side of things. So I'm just trying to like shed some light on what it is actually going to be like for the console, because it's going to be stripped even further back. Yeah, that's it, BG. There. Now, please, obviously, like, I'm not saying that you're not going to enjoy this game, and I'm not saying that it isn't a good game and you won't have fun with it. That's not what I'm saying. Just the general topic of conversation is that it's coming to console, and I just want to highlight a few things which, you know, based on my experience with the PC side of things with the game, you know, to kind of help you gauge a little bit as to what the console side of it's going to be like. And I used, like I said before, I used Tourist Bus as an example because it works fine on PC. You've got more settings, it's more accessible, wheel support settings, all that kind of stuff. And you play on the console side of it, and it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything like that. It's very, very basic, bare bones, you know, just to have the game to function. One setting does all. Do you know what I mean? That's the general attitude. So I'm just trying to help you guys out a little bit with kind of what to expect and what's really to come. Now, you could say, oh, well, the game isn't actually on console yet, so how could you say something like that? Well, you only got to look at your history. And history has a very funny habit of repeating itself. Especially when it comes to TML and Aerosoft. But have you guys got any more questions? Anything else that you really want to see in this game? Because I'd be happy to answer, and I'll be happy to show you if there is anything in particular. Tell you, the one thing I am extremely grateful for is there is no vehicle maintenance. So you don't have to book your bus into a garage to get it repaired, none of that. Feels like I've just driven on this road. Would I recommend this game? I think, based on, if you've ever played any of their other titles, you know what to expect generally. I'd say yeah. It's worth playing. It's definitely fun, you know, just dawdling around for an hour or so, you know, doing a bit of bussing, you know, just to break it up. But I wouldn't really expect too much than that. This is the meat on the bone. This is what you're seeing here right now. Is the meat on the bone. You select a route, you plan a route, you select the bus that you want, you drive it, you get some XP, you repeat the process. That's basically it. Now there's no like buses to use, so like to use. It's just simply at the beginning of the game, if you bought the DLC, you just get access to the buses straight out of the gate, and you get to pick obviously which bus you want. There's no hiring other drivers, so you won't see any other employees driving your buses around. Nothing like that. You are probably the only bus on the map at that one time. And that's what I was saying, Tourist Bus, it's definitely got a little bit more going for it in terms of content. You know, I think that if their general plan was to bring Fernbus to consoles anyway, I would have thought making Tourist Bus, it would have probably been better if they didn't, and just use that time and money to invest in making Fernbus better. Yeah, that would have made more sense, in my opinion, of course. But then for on the road, you know, they're already making another trucking game. Well, instead of making a new trucking game, like I said before, why don't they just use the time, money and resources in making on the road better, fixing it? But it's asking for a bit much, isn't it? I don't know, what you guys think? You guys, you planning on buying it for console? Like, genuinely? You know, if I was to rate this game, I'd probably rate it about, I don't know, 4.5 out of 10. And I'd rate Tourist Bus maybe a 5. Maybe a 5, 5.5, just because it has a little bit more context, you know, a little bit more content to it. They're both pretty solid games. It's just that, you know, we all know there's issues which reside. Yeah, I get you, BG, yeah. That's it's probably a sensible thing to do. To wait for a discount. Yeah, Pool House, it is a nice long drive. You know, that's one thing that this game does very well. You know, like I said before, you can customise your routes. You can have them as long as you want. Obviously, the longer the route, the more XP you get. You do have to take breaks, but there's no real sort of designated area to take a break. You would just, you know, you would use your imagination in a way, pull over to a safe spot, take the break, or you could just literally anchor on in the middle of the road and take the break and continue driving. But in a second, I will back out to the main menu and I will show you literally what it's like loading this game up. in the options that you get and all that good stuff. Just to kind of give you a bit of an idea. Yeah, Paul House, so the fuel system is exactly the same as Tourist Bus. So you just look at your fuel gauge and basically look for a fuel station when you need it. You know, as and when. That's pretty much the way that it goes. There is, on the other hand, like police tolls, like where they check your bus. I'm not really sure what that's all about, if I'm completely honest with you. They are scattered around the map here and there, and you just pull in and it's almost like a vehicle inspection, but it's also like a passenger inspection at the same time. I've only ever driven through them a couple of times, and to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what they're looking for. But I mean, other than that, you know, it's pretty bleak. I mean, it would be really nice, you know, now hear me out. It'd be really cool if they give you an option to drive a smaller bus, like what you do on Tourist Bus, or a taxi like that, for example, and you could pick up different passengers. So like different, you know, like we've got the shuttle services on Tourist Bus and all that. Be nice if we could pick a different service. I wouldn't mind driving around this map being a taxi. You know, I think that would be pretty sweet. Now on the PC side of things, you do get mods, but they're all sort of like respray, like paint job mods. Nothing in terms of like enhancing the gameplay or adding new things to the gameplay. Eventually, I'm fairly confident that will happen. But you know, there are better games out there to you know, access mods and do bigger and better things on. So I'm not really gonna hold my breath on that one, if I'm honest. But they haven't done too bad with the scenery. But like when you like in the bus, you look at it and it's fine, and I guess that's as far as you really need it to go. But when you actually get out and start analysing things and taking a bit more of a closer look, you can kind of see how sort of like basic it really is. You know, like the windows in the shops, they aren't actually windows. They're almost like someone's just stuck a sticker on it. Not that that matters, obviously, because you focus more on the busing element, but it's all about the immersion, you know. You want to at least feel like the city's being lived in, the towns are being lived in. I know it's been a bit of a rant, and I know it's been a bit of a hot topic, this stream, but it's been brewing for a little while, you know. I've been wanting to talk about it, you know. In other streams it's been touched upon, but here I can fully... Oh, now I'm speeding. But here I can finally, you know, just say what I need to say, and hopefully I can leave it at that, you know. Yeah, BG. Yeah, BG, you can. Yeah. But like I said to you, they are like the immersion, the actual cities themselves. They're not much different than any other TML Aerosoft game that you played. You aren't going to see anything groundbreaking. It's all pretty much just big grey dull buildings, and they've got no life to them at all. But yeah, what I'll do is I will quickly go back to the main menu. See, the pictures are very, very good, you know, at showing you, like, you play the game and it doesn't look like this at all. Do you know what I mean? It's like the attention to detail in the pictures. I mean, look how nice that looks. But once you jump into the game, it's not like that at all. So you get like your leaderboards, your rankings, you know, your position in the world with your XP, your top 100s, and if you've got some friends as well, you can compete with your friends. So I guess that's kind of a cool aspect. You know, whether that translates over to the console side of it, we don't know, obviously. But it'd be nice if it did, you know, but you get your rank and your XP. Obviously, you get your mods here. You know, you can view it with Steam, all that sort of stuff. We've got our general settings, audio, graphics. We've been through that before. But you generally just start your game and it gives you two options. You know, your level progression, so route creation, passenger transport, route navigation, detailed statistics, hometown, limited radius, locked cities. Or you can have your map exploration, so it's no routes, no passengers, no navigation, no statistics, start anywhere, unlimited radius, all cities. So depending on the general style of game which you want to play, at least it gives you, you know, two options for the variety of it. So I'll click on the career. So here you can see free play. You can customize your own routes. You know, you can start wherever you want. And then you can go to your shuttle, which is what we were just doing. And then you've got Flixbus. Now, as you can see, like these are all locked. So you have like a fixed radius. And then your shuttle. So you can create different routes. So like new, for example, you create your route number. So I don't know, 89, which is cool. Your route name, blah blah blah, and then you go into here and you basically just click the routes. That's all you do, and you can make these routes as long as you possibly want them. You know, I mean, you could spend a good hour or so, but you generally get the idea of what it's all about: travel time, check-in time, your distance, pretty much all that good stuff. So you kind of get a general idea of what the game's really about. Um, all this added extra stuff. Now I don't know whether like these areas of the map are going to be expanded upon. They probably will be at some point. But if I click save there, and that's the route that I picked, I can go to next. So you have options. Control mode, no different than tourist bus. Arcade or realistic. So if you're playing on PC, you can button bind and, you know, do all that fancy stuff, or arcade just for simple. And then you can kind of choose which buses you got, first gens and second gens. Like I say, not really much different. You got that horrible orange color which is on tourist bus, you know, and then obviously you get the Scania and the BB, things which you already got to pay for. So if you play tourist bus, all of these buses that reside within Fernbus are already in tourist bus. You can play them. They all drive exactly the same. There is no difference whatsoever. You can change your date and your time. You can also change your weather as well, you know, which is okay, you know, dynamic, you know, sunny day, whatever, you know, and it generally, it doesn't look too bad on the PC, don't get me wrong, you know. you can customize your character as well, you know, just all the basic stuff. Um, and that is pretty much about it, to be honest with you. BG Train Sim World. I mean, I've played the second one for a little bit. Um, it definitely lacks career. It'd be nice if there was a bit more of a progression system. That was my biggest complaint. And obviously, not everybody is a massive train enthusiast, so maybe like a noob or idiot guide, you know, because some of the times when you accidentally pull that emergency brake, you know, there's no real way of resetting um, the bus or should I say the train, and get yourself going again. It's literally you've just got to restart from the beginning, which I think is quite bad, to be honest with you. You know, but it depends on how you look at it. Hopefully, with the new one, they've learned from their previous mistakes, and they can, you know, they can make the experience a little bit more accessible for somebody that's not quite familiar with their games. You know, but I think that all in all, I've pretty much discussed what I wanted to say about Fernbus regarding the console side of things. Like I say, guys, please don't take what I say as gospel. I'm just showing you my side of it, my experience with the game, and kind of giving you a general idea of really what to expect. Most of us already know what to expect, but you know, I just thought I'd revise and go over a few things and show a few things and kind of go from there, really. But if you did like this content, please like and subscribe and turn that bell notification on. You know, I will cover more of Fernbus if that's what people want me to do. A few more simulation games down the line, bit more of American Truck and Euro Truck coming. But I think that's going to wrap it up for today's stream, guys. Like I say, I appreciate each and every one of you coming in, saying hello. It's been nice conversing with you all. If you've got any questions or anything like that, don't be afraid to drop it down in the comment section below, and I will try and answer as honestly and as swiftly as I possibly can. But I appreciate you all coming in, guys. Like I say, until next time, take it easy, stay safe, and I will catch you all in the next one.